The next item, calculated maps. I love talking about these things. So have you ever wanted to combine two or more map numbers on a single line? We get this question a lot. Can I go plus whatever in there and do whatever I like? Well, you have some options available to you. And before I go to calculated maps, I just want to illustrate wildcards to you, okay? And I don't know, Lori's not that old, but for me, I remember going back to the dark days of DOS when we used to go dir star. Do you remember that, Lori? Are you?
I do, and yes, I do remember DOS. I remember DOS.
You remember all that. You remember that the star was actually a wild card, that it meant anything. We don't care whatever's in there. So if you look at this first screenshot here, I typed into I inserted a link line, and in the link field, I typed in, so you can't click the drop down, I typed in 215 star. And what that did was, on a single line, it gave me all the map numbers that start with 215, okay? So that's nice. So you can see here, these two balances are basically now being included above, okay? Now, I may actually have a couple of other items in there because I think it pretty much adds up to that. But that's the problem with the star, is anybody in that range is going to be included on that line, and sometimes we don't want some of those items. So below we have the question mark. So question mark means I'm being very specific, but that particular digit, I don't care what goes in it. So in here, we would have all the map numbers that start with 157.174, 0 through 9, A through Z. It doesn't care what's in that last position. So that can also be a useful way to group things together. Again, you have to type that in. You can't click the drop down to get to it. But if you put it in the question mark or the star, you may find that you're able to combine things. Now, what happens if that's no good? And that's no good because we may have map numbers that get in the way there and they're being included, and we don't want them. So we can use something called calculated maps. Calculated maps allow you to specify exactly which map numbers you want to include. Now, I have actually included an example of a calculated map inside our default map structure, the simplified map structure. So if we go under engagement and get into mapping, I'm going to just scroll down, and actually right at the very bottom here, I'm going to go down to the bottom, and I see that there's a map number 300.C. So if you want to create your own map numbers, it's actually a good idea to maybe put in that .C so you know, aha, that's a calculated map number. Now, what I've done here is I turned on two columns that are not normally displayed. So those columns are my calculation column and my behavior column, okay? So now I have to behave myself or something, I don't know. But those have to be on in order to use calculated maps. So at the very bottom here, under the behavior column, you see there's a C there. So I selected that this is a calculated map, okay? So now it knows. In other words, you're not going to be able to assign this map number to accounts. It is only basically adding things together. Now, in the calculation column, you'll notice there's a plus already in that column. It's because I've already got a calculation in there. The one just above, if I clicked on that, is blank. There's nothing in there. So basically, it's either in that position or the plus. And in the plus, guess what? We have something already there, okay? Now, this map number is adding together all the revenue accounts, and it's perhaps excluding a couple of them because I didn't just go 3 stars, so there must have been something I wanted to keep out of there. 311 star, so any map number starting with 311. Then there's a comma between. You can think of that as a plus. I don't know why they didn't go plus, but comma means, okay, what's the next set? 312 star, 331 star, 351 star, 381 star. Now, if I want to, I could include a range in here as well. So I could go 381 star ... 391 star, for example, and it would include all the map numbers in that particular range. So you can use ... for range, and you can use comma. Basically, it's like a plus, okay? Unfortunately, we can't subtract map numbers or divide or multiply. I think it'd be awesome if we could, but it's better than nothing. And a really good place for this, Lori, you were mentioning this the other day for a calculated map, is the idea of a single one for net book value of a particular asset, right?
That's correct.
Yeah, because if you think about it, the map number for cost is very different from the map number for accumulated. And unfortunately, there's other, capital assets in the middle there, which would be hard to exclude by using the asterisk or the question mark. So a calculated map would work awesome there. Okay. All right. Let's go back. So you can see here, there's our 300C total revenue. You see that there's a C there. And in our next screenshot, under calculation column, we put a plus there because we've added this particular calculation in. Now, once we have a calculated map, it's easy to use. You just right-click, insert a new linked line. You can even use the drop-down, but we just linked on to 300.C, and there's total revenue showing up in the statement where we want it. So it's an easy way to combine certain items.